Next 30 minutes. Mission Chandrayaan has become a symbol of the spirit of New India, says India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi in his monthly Mann Ki Baat radio program. The stronger the friendship you will keep with India, the more prosperous your economy will get. India's Prime Minister sends a powerful message to the world at the Business 20 Summit. India's innovation and developments can solve 1/6 of the world's problems, the External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar says at the B20 Summit in New Delhi. And the star javelin thrower Neeraj Chopra to vie for the gold at the World Athletics Championship in Budapest in Hungary. DP Manu and Kishore Jaina are also in the fray. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the nation on Sunday in his monthly radio program Mann Ki Baat, and he touted the success of India's latest lunar mission, Chandrayaan 3, which made a soft landing on the moon's south pole this week.
Chandrayaan is the symbol of the spirit of New India. That's how Indian Prime Minister has described India's successful lunar mission this week. Addressing the nation in his monthly radio program Mann Ki Baat, the Prime Minister recited a poem he dedicated to the success of India's Chandrayaan mission.
आसमान में सिर उठाकर, घने बादलों को चीरकर, रोशनी का संकल्प ले, अभी तो सूरज उगा है। दृढ़ निश्चय के साथ चलकर, हर मुश्किल को पार कर, घोर अंधेरे को मिटाने, अभी तो सूरज उगा है। आसमान में सर उठाकर, घने बादलों को चीरकर, अभी तो सूरज उगा है।
The Prime Minister highlighted the contribution of women in the success of Chandrayaan 3.
साथियों, इस मिशन का एक पक्ष ऐसा भी रहा जिसकी आज मैं आप सबके साथ विशेष तौर पर चर्चा करना चाहता हूं। आपको याद होगा, इस बार मैंने लाल किले से कहा है कि हमें विमेन लेड डेवलपमेंट को राष्ट्रीय चरित्र के रूप में सशक्त करना है। जहां महिला शक्ति का सामर्थ्य जुड़ जाता है, वहां असंभव को भी संभव बनाया जा सकता है। भारत का मिशन चंद्रयान नारी शक्ति का भी जीवंत उदाहरण है। इस पूरे मिशन में अनेकों विमेन साइंटिस्ट और इंजीनियर्स सीधे तौर पर जुड़ी रही हैं। इन्होंने अलग अलग सिस्टम्स के प्रोजेक्ट डायरेक्टर, प्रोजेक्ट मैनेजर, ऐसी कई अहम जिम्मेदारियां संभाली हैं। भारत की बेटियां अब अनंत समझे जाने वाले अंतरिक्ष को भी चुनौती दे रही है। किसी देश की बेटियां जब इतनी आकांक्षी हो जाए तो उसे, उस देश को विकसित बनने से भला कौन रोक सकता है?
The Prime Minister said that Chandrayaan's success is the success and progress of the 1.4 billion people of India.
साथियों, हमने इतनी ऊंची उड़ान इसलिए पूरी की है क्योंकि आज हमारे सपने भी बड़े हैं और हमारे प्रयास भी बड़े हैं। चंद्रयान 3 की सफलता में हमारे वैज्ञानिकों के साथ ही दूसरे सेक्टर्स की भी अहम भूमिका रही है। तमाम पार्ट्स और तकनीकी जरूरतों को पूरा करने में कितने ही देशवासियों ने योगदान दिया है। जब सबका प्रयास लगा तो सफलता भी मिली। यही चंद्रयान 3 की सबसे बड़ी सफलता है।
In a giant leap for India's space program, Chandrayaan 3 touched down on the lunar South Pole on August 23, propelling the country to an exclusive club of 4 and making it the first country to land on the uncharted surface. Abhishek Bose for DD India.
On the final day of the B20 Summit India 2023, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that India holds an important place in building an efficient and trusted global supply chain. The B20 Summit 2023 is based on the theme of the B20 India RAISE, which stands for Responsible, Accelerated, Innovative, Sustainable, Equitable Businesses.
इस B20 समिट की थीम है रेज। It is about responsibility, acceleration, innovation, sustainability and equality. And it is about humanity. It is about one earth, one family, one future.
India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar addressed the B20 India Summit in New Delhi on Sunday. The B20 is the official G20 dialogue forum with global business leaders. The minister said that the core mandate of the G20 is to promote economic growth and development, but that cannot advance unless the crucial concerns of the Global South are addressed. He said that discourse on the Global South is aimed at not leaving anyone behind.
It is the working of this multiple axis in tandem that is now forging a new India. An India that creates its own 5G stack, an India which invents its COVID vaccine, or an India that lands near the South Pole of the moon. So when you reflect on it, the discourse about the Global South is essentially about leaving no one behind. But to preach it convincingly, one has to practice it effectively. And that is what India has sought to do over the last decade.
And Dr. S. Jaishankar pointed out that during the coronavirus pandemic, Indian-made COVID vaccines were sent to 100 countries.
During the COVID and thereafter, we have provided direct food support to 800 million of our most vulnerable citizens, and financial support to 450 million. During the COVID, made in India vaccines were sent out to about 100 countries, and 150 nations imported medicines during this period from the pharmacy of the world. Our own development partnerships have grown very significantly over the last decade, and they extend now to 78 nations.
Well, India has handed over the B20 presidency to Brazil, the next host of the G20 next year. And the presidency was handed over on the last day of the three-day B20 India Summit 2023 in New Delhi. The Business 20, as we said, is the official G20 dialogue forum with the global business community. And our correspondent Vikas Sarthi was at the B20 summit, and he joins us now. Vikas, how did the business community react to the Prime Minister's address?
Right, Mark. In fact, the business community also understand what Prime Minister Modi underlined, that this is the time that we must treat the Global South as a partner and not just a consumer. Prime Minister also reiterated that the agenda that India has been putting in place on global forums, that everybody should get benefits of innovations of technology and economic growth across the globe. And he also reiterated the commitment India showed during COVID pandemic time, and he said that at that point in time when global supply was broken unprecedentedly, India was the country which supplied COVID vaccines and medicines to more than 100 countries. So all these past thinkings and past fundamentals that the global supply chain is a global north driven thing, these things have been tested during the challenging times, and now it has been well established that Global South is the new hub, is the new forum of innovation, technology, and economic growth as well. So he also addressed the companies, Indian companies as well as the global companies, that it is a time then we must take care of the concerns of the consumer as well. We must observe a consumer care day, and that will be an occasion when we'll be thankful of that the consumer has specific needs, and he should be given an equity on the resources, on the technologies, and on the innovation. So these were the main takeaways from the Prime Minister's address to the B20 summit. He also said that India.
Yeah, because we'll also look at what the External Affairs Minister said, and that is more to do with the potential within the Global South itself. Practice what you preach is what he said. What is the potential of business-to-business ties within the Global South?
Right, Mark. In fact, if we talk about the G20 group, almost 85% of the world economy is of G20 group or Global South, you can say, and more than 75% population resides in this Global South. So North cannot ignore the needs of the Global South. There must be an equal participation as far as the policies are concerned, and as far as the regulations, the global regulations are concerned. In fact, in today's speech, Prime Minister also pointed out that this carbon credit is an old dated system, and he said that I would like to introduce a green credit system.
Thanks very much, Vikas Sarthi, for joining us. Now, floods continue to hit India's northeastern state of Assam. 6 districts of the state are largely underwater. An orange alert is in place with more than 53,000 people and over 18,000 animals affected. The Brahmaputra and Beki rivers are still flowing above their danger level, with dozens of people being evacuated by boat. Our correspondent Subina Roy is in Guwahati, and she joins us now. Well, Subina, how are the authorities dealing with the rising waters of the Brahmaputra and Beki rivers?
Yes, Mark, the river water level has been increasing due to the rains that have been occurring. As you can see, that incessant rains have been occurring for the past few days in Assam, not only in Assam, but also in Meghalaya and Arunachal Pradesh. Due to this, the river level has increased at the Beki River at Coatbridge Point, then at Brahmaputra, at Dhubri at Jorhat Point, and then the Dikho River at Sibsagar, and then the Sankosh River at Golakanch in Gwalpara. Now, coming to my question that what are the authorities doing? Yesterday, NDRF and SDRF had rescued around 46 people through 6 boats in the Sonitpur district. So largely in the last few days, Dhemaji is the district which has largely been affected. Around 57 villages alone there are reeling under waters. The houses of people have been marooned. So the state authorities, the NDRF, SDRF are working day and night, since the first wave of Assam floods have hit to bring out people from flood-affected areas.
Subina, thank you very much for joining us from Guwahati. Let's now look at other stories making the news. The Indian forensic experts are examining the train that caught fire at Tamil Nadu's Madurai railway station, with authorities saying that the fire was triggered by an illegally smuggled gas cylinder. The death toll stands at 9 people, while another 8 passengers were seriously injured in the incident. The India Meteorological Department predicts heavy to very heavy rainfall it's likely to continue over northeast India over the next 2 days. The heavy rainfall activity is also expected over the South Konkan and Goa tomorrow. A horrifying collision took place between a tanker and a Rolls-Royce on a highway near Delhi, killing 2 people. The director of the well-known Kuber Group, Vikas Malu, was among the injured. According to the police, Malu will be questioned after he is discharged from hospital. 3 tiger cubs have joined the Royal Bengal family at the Safari Park in India's eastern state of West Bengal. These new additions mean that there are now 13 tigers in the park, with the State Forest Ministry saying all cubs are healthy and happy. Still to come on DD India Live. Zimbabwe's opposition is disputing the re-election of the incumbent president, Mnangagwa. And the situation in Niger deteriorates as the junta puts its forces on high alert.
Your name, Ina Krishnamurthy.
Yes.
It sounds so much like an Indian name.
My grandfather fascinated with Mahabharata, Ramayana stories, so he gave my father's name Krishnamurthy.
The handing over of the gavel by Indonesian President in Bali to Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
Of course, it's a fascinating, memorable history.
What does Indonesia think is the biggest challenge in the Indo-Pacific?
We don't want this region to be part of any conflict, not unilateral actions.
How does Indonesia see the Quad partnership?
We see it as a plus.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Mark Lynn. Now to Zimbabwe, where the incumbent president, Emmerson Mnangagwa, has been re-elected for a second and final term. Mnangagwa won 52.6% of the vote, while the opposition leader, Nelson Chamisa, took 44%. The election was due to be held last Wednesday, but voting was extended to Thursday after delays and problems with the printing of ballot papers. Mnangagwa's ZANU-PF party has been in power for more than 4 decades.
Mnangagwa Emerson Dambudzo of ZANU-PF party has received 2,350,711 votes out of 4,468,730 valid votes cast, which are more than half the number of valid votes cast in the presidential election.
A 48-hour ultimatum given to ambassadors to Niger by the country's military rulers on Friday is about to expire. Since seizing control of the government on July 26th, Niamey's new regime has been at loggerheads with several Western powers and the region's blocs, which is ECOWAS. Now, meanwhile, supporters of Niger's military leaders flooded the country's national stadium to celebrate 1 month of military rule and to call for a swift expulsion of the French ambassador. And Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu will be meeting the U.S. President Joe Biden on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly in New York next month. The two leaders are likely to discuss the situation in Niger, where Tinubu, who chairs the regional bloc, which is ECOWAS, which we were just talking about, is working with other heads of government in West Africa to find a solution after the military junta had seized power. Tinubu, who is behind Nigeria's boldest reforms in decades, has called for more U.S. investment in his country and also greater cooperation for the defense of democracy in West Africa.
In yet another attempted drone attack against Russia, air defenses intercepted a Ukrainian drone that was approaching capital Moscow early Saturday morning. It fell northwest of the city in Istra district, causing no damage or casualties. Belgorod region, which borders Ukraine, also saw Ukrainian attacks by drones and shelling. Local authorities say cluster munitions were used by Ukraine, injuring at least 6 people. In the meantime, Russia says it has improved its positions on the Kupiansk direction. Dmitry Medvedev, the deputy chairman of Russia's Security Council, has claimed that Russian opponents in the West.
Well, a 48-hour ultimatum given to France's ambassador to Niger by the country's military rulers on Friday is about to expire. Since seizing control of the government on July 26th, Niamey's new regime has been at loggerheads with several Western powers and the regional blocs ECOWAS. DD India correspondent Isaac Lucando has more from Dar es Salaam. Now, Isaac, how serious is the threat actually of ECOWAS? Is it close enough to D-Day now? They were threatening to increase or to actually attack on a particular D-Day.
Well, at this point, it's still just talk of what could possibly happen. And so we believe that it could be a means by the military junta to try and continue to first shore up support and protect themselves, but also be on the alert for anything that could possibly happen. Because all of this is happening when this is the final day, being Sunday, the final day of the ultimatum they gave to the French ambassador to get out of the country. But it's not clear what will happen if that ambassador does not leave. There were protesters on Saturday at the military base where the French are stationed, about 1,500 soldiers there. They were given about a week to leave. So it is unclear at this point what will happen. Should the French ambassador stay, it could be a very tense situation, to say the least. But we believe that this could be a means by the military junta to try and ensure that in the event that something does go wrong, they are ready and prepared for that.
Isaac, how has the presumed death of the Wagner chief Prigozhin affected these various juntas across Africa? Because the mercenary groups in Africa seem to have been getting support from the Wagner group.
Well, that is correct. From what we gather over the last couple of days, support for Russia hasn't waned. In fact, the military junta, for example, in Niger, continues to expect that locals there show up for rallies and continue supporting supporting Russia. So, for example, the types of rallies that are allowed is one for the military junta, and the other is any rally in support of Russia. But we believe that behind the scenes they're probably trying to regroup and to see the way forward and see if there's any credible leadership that will emerge from the Wagner group, and see how they can rely on them going forward. But at the moment that is still at the level of speculation.
Isaac Lucando, thanks very much. Crowds of German citizens rallied in the German city of Düsseldorf. This is to express discontent with weapon deliveries in Ukraine and economic war against Russia. The protesters held banners and placards demanding the United States and other Western countries immediately stop sending weapons to Ukraine. They denounced North Atlantic Treaty Organization for wantonly waging wars around the world for their own interests. The potential delivery of more weapons has aroused strong concerns among the protesters in Germany. The protesters criticized the German government for escalating tensions abroad while neglecting their own domestic problems. The Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva is calling for change within the United Nations Security Council. Criticizing the current UN Security Council members, the Brazilian president wants reforms in the international body, urging more inclusiveness for the other countries in the Security Council.
The United Nations in 2023 is far from having the same credibility of the UN in 1945. The Security Council, which should be a figure of peace and calm, is a Security Council that is doing war without talking to anyone. Russia goes to Ukraine without discussing the Security Council. The United States went to Iraq without discussing the Security Council. France and England invaded Libya without passing through the Security Council. This is, the ones who go to war are the countries members of the Security Council. The ones making guns are the countries of the Security Council. The ones selling guns are the countries of the Security Council. That's wrong. We need to understand that we need more countries in the Security Council.
3 people have been shot dead in Jacksonville, Florida, with police describing the incident as racially motivated. The local sheriff says that the gunman was a white male wearing a tactical vest. He shot and killed himself after the incident. Authorities have identified the victims as 2 men and a woman who were black. It's understood that the shooter acted alone, writing several manifestos for the media. His parents and law enforcement detailing his hatred for the black people. And it's Super Sunday at the World Athletics Championship 2023. Let's take a look at the sporting action. The Indian star javelin thrower Neeraj Chopra is eyeing a gold medal at the World Championships in Budapest. Chopra progressed to the men's final after topping the qualifying round with a season's best throw of 88.77 meters. DP Manu and Kishore Jaina are also in the hunt to claim medals. The Indian 4x400 meters men's team ran a blistering 2-minute 59.05 seconds run to qualify for the finals of the World Championship for the first time in history, and rewrote the Asian record of 2.59.51 seconds held in Japan. It was held by Japan. And the Indian quartet, they are Mohammad Anas, Yahya, Amoj Jacob, Mohammad Ajmal, Variya Thodi and Rajesh Ramesh. They ran this historic race to finish second in their heat behind the United States. The Indian women's blind cricket team have made history in Birmingham, winning a gold medal and defeating Australia in the rain-affected final of the International Blind Sports Federation World Games. The women in blue remain undefeated, having won all their league games in the tournament. The Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi congratulated the team, writing on the social media platform X, "Kudos to the Indian women's blind cricket team for winning the gold at the IBSA World Games, a monumental achievement that exemplifies the indomitable spirit and talent of our sportswomen. India beams with pride," unquote. Indian shuttler HS Pranoy has won the bronze medal at the BWF World Championships in Copenhagen. Pranoy started strong against Kunlavut Viditsam, but lost to the world number 3, 18-21, 21-13, 21-14. It's the first medal for Pranoy at the World Championship and the 14th for India at the competition. That's all we have in this edition of DD India Live, but let's know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook. You can also do so on X, which was formerly known as Twitter, on Instagram as well. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. My name is Mark Lin from all of us here in New Delhi. Thanks very much for watching DD India Live.